work on
I
that.
think that's a very beautiful point that you're bringing up. And honestly, I've shared it in talks, sermons, literally just like you're asking the question, do I want to be right, or would I actually rather grow spiritually? And that question that we could ask ourselves many times in a day, and even as I'm answering it, I'm realizing that because it happened to me so powerfully a few years ago in a particular situation. I've mentioned it so many times I don't want to go into it, but I was having a very, very big fight with someone who is a friend, and therefore it was very painful. But as I was sitting contemplating, and I mean that, as I went into a state of contemplation after that, which it was so powerful in my life, I took 5 days to just sit quietly in my living room with the yamas and niyamas up in front of me, because they are such a great guidepost. If we can keep them in front of us, and when things are going wrong, ask ourselves, which of these yamas or niyamas am I not living in tune with right now? Usually it's almost all of them, because they're all so interrelated. But if you find one, it helps. But it came to me that day because, interestingly, that was an argument that I knew for sure. If I went to 10 people and said, listen to this, what do you think? They would have said to me, I can't believe that person behaved that way. And many people would have said, of course you're angry, and you are right. That's what would have happened. And then it starts coming that you ask yourself, do I want to be right and hold on to this judgment, this anger, this greed? Whatever it is, we all have a lot of that still within us. The pain that we feel, the places we can go where we feel somebody's not loving us enough. It just comes in all forms. And sometimes I can just watch myself go through several of them in a day. But that question that can come up, is this where I want to be? Do I want to be right? Maybe the other person really does not know how to love well. But that's not what's causing us pain. What's causing us pain is the place in us that's needing something that we can't get where we're looking for it. And so if we choose to grow spiritually instead of being right, it always takes us into that one place, only one place where we actually have any control. And that is coming back and being with God in some way. If a friend just hurt you, you sit down. I've said many times, I ask Yogananda as many times as I can think of it in a day to be with me. My friend just hurt me. Would you come here, be with me? And there it is, the divine himself putting his arms around you and being the best possible friend, loving you in the best unconditional way. And after a while, it starts feeling really good. And you realize that every time there's that little hurt, that little desire, all those things. And as Virendra just said, that place between anger and righteousness, it's a fine line. But I would ask, what is righteousness really when we're talking about these things on the spiritual path? The only righteousness that exists are all of those actions, thoughts, desires that take us closer to God. That's why we could call the battlefield, our life being a battlefield, and we go right to a righteous battle, which is what Krishna talks about in the Bhagavad Gita. It's the whole way it's laid out. This is what's righteous. What's righteous is coming back and making decisions that will keep leading us closer to God. So it's a very important point that you're raising. And that phrase, which, thoughts are universally rooted, but exactly that phrase that we could all carry, take it with you. Do I want to be right, or do I want to keep growing spiritually? And hopefully the answer will be that you want to keep growing, which doesn't necessarily make it easy. These spiritual truths, the yamas, the niyamas, everything we talk about, spiritual principles, courage, willingness, willpower, you just go on and on. They're so simple. We talk about the same 20 things over and over and over. And we do that because it's not easy. They're simple, but they're not easy. So we keep reminding ourselves, I'd rather grow spiritually. I really would rather grow spiritually. I'll just say one more thing. After I've been with my current partner, who I've now been with for 35 years, almost exactly. But after 10 or 15 years, I think it was 15. I have to be honest. I wish it was 10, but it was 15. I said to myself one day, you always argue over the same things. Nothing's changed. It's always the same triggers that get you going. So when are you going to quit arguing? And it really came to me, now is the time. Now. And I've said this many times. I haven't been 100% about that, but I've been way better than I would have been if I didn't say to myself that day, you will never argue with him again. You will never see him as being anything other than God himself. And there are times where for days in a row, I'll pout. He's not loving me enough. He says he loves me, but he's not this or he's not that in my mind. And then I wake up from it again, sometimes in 2 minutes, sometimes in 2 days, every once in a while in a few more days. But I come back to it, he's perfect, exactly as he is. That's exactly why he's in your life, because every challenge that comes to us in life brings us to the precipice of freedom. That's what Kabir said here one day years ago, and it's just been in my mind. Every challenge that is presented to us brings us to the precipice of freedom. It's powerful. It's really powerful, and it's truth. So just, Master always said, bite off more than you can chew, then chew on it. That's what he said. So chew on that every challenge.